This is your Neepawa Town Council Debrief for the December the 7th, 2021 meeting. The debrief will take you through the key issues being discussed by Council and provide a bit more information about what they mean for the town. This week's Council meeting focused on Councillor reports from their various committees and other board work within and around town. Councillors each have a series of committees or subcommittees that they chair or belong to, and within those, there are often other organizations that they will sit on the board of. This gives Council a good sense of important activities going on throughout the town, and also gives area organizations a direct line back to the Town Council. Councillors report back on these activities to the General Council meeting, both for information for the Council and also for the general public. Some of the highlights of these reports this week are information on budgeting for the regional library, which Neepawa Library is a member of, recreational activities resuming in some areas, such as public skating, and the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Annual Convention, which fosters face-to-face communication between the municipalities and the provincial government.
Okay, anybody got any council reports tonight? Yes, Councilor Cox.
I do. The Storefront Improvement Incentive Program received an application for approval this evening. Westlake Employment Skills and Services Center has put in a funding request in the amount of $395 to assist in covering the total cost of $885 for 2 new business signs to support the relocation to a new office space in the former co-op grocery building. There will be a resolution to approve the application later in tonight's meeting. The Roxy Theatre has a movie showing of the Polar Express on Sunday, December 12th at 2 p.m. Taylor Law Patterson's LLP is sponsoring admission costs, and the concession will be available for purchasing snacks for anyone interested. Arts Forward, located at 293 Mountain Avenue, presently has an exhibit showing the artwork of many students from Hazel M. Pellington School here in Neepawa. Everyone is invited to attend the showing during regular business hours, Tuesday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The public, including the students from HMK School and their families, are also invited to attend a gala evening on Thursday, December 16th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Arts Forward. The last item I have this week is a reminder that everyone is welcome to attend public skating at the Yellowhead Arena every Monday evening from 5:45 to 6:45 p.m. and also on Saturday, December 11th, 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Sunday, December 19th from 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. And the Yellowhead Community Rec Center will be closed December 24th to the 26th for Christmas. All public health orders apply for the Roxy Theatre, Arts Forward, and the Yellowhead Community Rec Center. That's everything I have.
Okay, thank you, Darren.
The library report. November 17th was the last meeting. We're working on a new budget, and why it's really important is because the census numbers are expected to come out by StatsCan on February 9th. And the way we fund the library is a per capita funding number. So there's a lot of talk and discussions, and it's something that I'm learning at the same time, and I don't know if anyone knows the answer, but do you budget based on the current numbers, or do you wait, until you get your new numbers? And in Neepawa, we're expecting a higher population rate, so that could mean a significant difference. It could even be as high as, I've kind of calculated what it could be based on our preliminary budget numbers. It could be another, right now we spend about $52,000 based on our population of 4,609, but if we're up there, say, just to, give a ballpark number, 5,500, then that would be another $10,000 roughly. So it's something that we'll have to think about as we budget and finance. And again, it's also going to depend if we decide to raise our per capita levy. Last year we tried to do it, but all of the members of the library group have to agree, and we had one not agree. And it didn't have to be us, which was nice, because usually I'm there talking reason with people. It's interesting too because it's not exactly fair, because some of our members there, they don't all pay the same. So to give you just a little perspective on that, the city of Brandon, they pay less money than we do per capita because they subsidize the rent of their building. But the rent of their building is a high rent in a you know, it used to be a prosperous neighborhood, downtown Brandon, but it's no longer, you know, the rent is just really high, like, more than you would even guess. So it's a high number, so they're subsidizing where, according to their numbers, they're paying more than what we're paying as a community. That being said, we always put pressure to say, like, we need to make it fair. And like, we, as a town, we don't charge a lot of rent for our library, which is a building we own. And nor should the community members, you know, it's for your community. So it's something to think about. We have to kind of contrast that when we're looking at those numbers. What's neat about libraries right now is they've been, in Brandon especially, they've been hosting vaccination clinics at the Brandon location downtown. And that's given access to anywhere from 30 to 50 people getting their vaccination and possible flu shots. And locally here in Neepawa, and any Neepawa resident is able to take out a book from any of our libraries, so you can go to Brandon and take out a book with your library card. So that's why being part of this group is really a good thing and important to know here in Neepawa. But in Neepawa, we circulated in the month of October, over 1,200 items were circulated in town. And Story Club has restarted again in our library, and you have until December 13th to pick up the story kits. So some local news at the end, but definitely lots of discussions about budgeting and how to account for our new staff. And we're actually still finalizing our new library director. So it's
Have
been...
you hired somebody?
We did, but it didn't work out right away.
Okay.
So we've made a few different proposals, but we've now found somebody that we feel is going to fit, and they're supposed to start sometime this week or next week. So.
Okay, yes. Councilor Barrett.
Well, Leisure Services Manager Nicole Cooper created a trade route map showing Highway 5 and 16 as major trade routes that were designated as trade routes by the province. And this was submitted to the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association. And the Highway Association has submitted letters to the different ministers of transport in the various provinces along the way, re-emphasizing the value of Highway 16 and all its communities along the way as a major trade route, especially now that the southern routes in BC have been compromised and the northern route is now becoming quite important in the northern ports. And let's see, went to the AMM convention where I got myself a nice plaque and a chance to smooch with the Minister of Municipal Relations, Johnson. And at the AMM convention, one of the really important things is the ability to meet face-to-face with the ministers and the government officials and the people who make the decisions in the province, and of course across the province, all the other councillors and that. And you get to exchange a lot of information. And one of the values that we get is by actually approaching everyone as people and sharing personal issues or personal information as opposed to municipal information, so that when you do see them again, they'll remember a very positive engagement with you as opposed to, oh, he's coming with another problem. Which kind of helped out because it wasn't too many days after that we met with Minister Johnson and Deputy Minister Bruce Gray, dealing with the Office of the Fire Commissioner and trying to get a template for a warrant that municipalities can use as opposed to trying to create their own, which is something that we had to do recently. And to also promote the fact that our planning board, our development officer, Jeff Braun, is almost credentialed for Part 3 inspections. We also met with with Minister Reyes on the apprenticeship. He's in charge of the apprenticeship or something like that, but it was to deal with water treatment plant operator training and wastewater management training and the loopholes that exist in it that are negative loopholes, making it difficult for us to train and maintain water treatment plant operators, and he listened very well, and a really good presentation was made by yourself and CAO Sensation. So those were really good meetings. And now Deputy Minister Bruce Gray knows what all my 9 grandchildren look like.
Excellent.
Councillor Nadeau reports on 2 items that viewers might not be familiar with. The first is the Rossburn Subdivision Trail. Now, the Rossburn Subdivision Trail, part of the Trans-Canada Trail, runs 176 kilometers from Russell to Neepawa. This multi-use gravel trail follows the abandoned CN rail line, formerly known as Rossburn Subdivision. It connects to Riding Mountain National Park through the Riding Mountain Trans-Canada Trail Network. And so you can see more information on the trail at rossburnsubdivisiontrail.ca. The second is the Spruce Plains Justice Committee, which is a regional organization that helps to keep people on track and out of the court system. We recently talked to Councillor Nadeau about this committee on our Decision Makers program in an episode that will air in January, where he goes into depth on how the committee operates and what it does for the community.
Okay, I've got a couple here, 3 to be exact. The first one, I'm on the Rossburn Subdivision Trail Association Committee, and just to let you guys know, even though it's winter, we're still working on regular trail maintenance. Before the snow came, we did a thorough inspection of the trail, and we found some areas that require maintenance. And we're going to be repairing 2 bridges, and they're both trestle bridges. We're completing a project that we started over 2 years ago, a sub-trail. It's called the Flying Eagle Link Trail, and that's over in Rossburn. However, it's interesting how our local sub-trails got closed down, but we're still allowed to open other sub-trails, so I definitely have further questions about that. But that's going to be a really nice trail once we get that finished. Some small delays are happening due to some incidental variables. There's a farmer that's using the road allowance, which is actually our trail, where our trail is intended to be, so we're working on that with the local farmer in order to make sure that we don't have any negative interactions with our neighbors. Definitely, when we're working on those bridges, also the trestle bridges, we want to make sure that we have all the proper permits in place. So I've been using the things that we've been working on ourselves here when we experienced the flood, and tapping into the expertise of our administration here to find out how we can best help support this whole group here, because we're part of this really great group. The RM of Rosedale, we're still looking for a rep from there, since the Reeve gave up his seat on our committee. Because the trail runs through Rosedale, they really have to be a member. We need them. Right now, we're kind of just letting them know that we're going on to their property, and our intention isn't to infringe, but there's needed repairs that have to occur to make sure it's safe for everyone. Not sure how quick the bridge work will take, but we need something like 56 railway ties to help strengthen the decking of the trestle bridge that goes over the North Saskatchewan River. So if anyone were to cross-country ski down the trail from, if you're going to go a couple 100 kilometers from here, you're definitely going to want to keep your eye open for the bridge, just the condition of the bridge. Another committee I'd like to report on is the Spruce Plains Justice Committee. We've been able to meet a couple times since our last council meeting here. And this is a committee that is really confidential, but it does a lot. It's all about restorative justice. And we were able to make a few big differences, even in our community and our surrounding communities that the committee encompasses. Because we're really dealing with the problem head on rather than somebody going to jail. It doesn't give them that chance to make things right. So if someone has an issue with whether it's a substance abuse or maybe they had a moment where they committed vandalism, a committee like this allows them to do the restorative justice approaches to make it right, and then have a possible future too, because if you do go to court and you get a record, it actually limits so many of your possible future outcomes. So definitely a really great committee. We've been able to meet and make just the last one that I was at the past few days here. It really made a huge difference in a family, and there's a lot of hope and a lot of wishfulness that it's going to make a change, a positive change. And that goes to help support our communities too. So it's nice when that can happen. And
Manager of Operations, Denise Kay, updates us on the many construction projects going on in and around Neepawa, and also talks about a possible subsidized advertising program for environment and recycling programs. Now, messaging about recycling in the Neepawa area has always been important because there are specifics to what can and can't be recycled. That make the job easier for everyone and prevent us from contaminating a lot of loads of recycling to the point that they have to be wasted.
So as far as the RCMP construction goes, everything from all my meetings seem to be showing everything's on task and it's going well. There's been no hiccups that should really delay the project much. So everyone can kind of see the construction according they've got in place. That's for the cinder block construction area, so that'll be the cell and containment area. The entire building won't require that much work, so once they complete that zone, they can start with the remaining steel structure and move along. It should go pretty quick. My last meeting at the water treatment plant reservoir was same deal. Contractor's doing phenomenal work there as well. Project's progressing really nicely, and I believe it's next week they're going to start pouring some of the ceiling slabs. So the roof slab concrete they'll be doing that in 2 or 3 sections, so they'll do that. And same thing, it's looking good. Then I go through the site, everything craftsmanship. There's no issues whatsoever that have been brought forward by the engineers that indicate anything will slow up at all.
Okay. Question, I had a resident ask me about the CN property and sidewalks. Could you kind of explain that to me, what happens out there? Will there be something you said along Mill Street or something?
Yes, so as part of our functional design and our highway permit access with MI, they wanted to see a pedestrian flow area of how we were going to modify that, so we already indicated to them that Howden would definitely receive it, Stonehouse would receive it, because they wanted to see some commuter, easy access, and in all likelihood Mill Street will have to have it as well. So we'll tie Mill Street into the community, tie Mill Street probably right to Highway 5, but all of that is being budgeted for this year, for 2022.
For 2022?
Yeah, so we have still more extensive work to be budgeted in there as well.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, so the first one is the Multi-Material Stewardship Manitoba, and we received notice that an agreement has been reached between News Media Canada, the City of Winnipeg, and the Association of Manitoba Municipalities on an in-kind advertising program. Moving forward under the Stewardship Packaging and Printed Paper Program Plan, members of the News Media Canada and the Manitoba Community Newspaper Association will fulfill their obligations by contributing newspaper lineage to participating communities in lieu of cash funding. So a little bit of the background of what that means, you probably already know. Great. So the government of Manitoba paid newsprint fees on behalf of newspaper stewards directly to MMSM from 2010 to 2017. This payment arrangement was under the newspaper recycling agreement, which was established in 2011. It was terminated in August of 2017. So with a lack of funding from newspapers and the Manitoba government, MMSM did not have the funds to pay communities for the newspaper portion of blue box recycling. So as you are aware, every year we get a certain dollar value towards recycling items that are claimed and submitted through the province. So since that time, there was various meetings held and taking a look at what would happen with possible in-kind advertising programs where newspapers would provide communities with advertising in place of the cash funding that we used to get. After 4 years of discussions, both the AMM and the City of Winnipeg supported and approved this in-kind advertising program. So just some highlights about the program, which we're supposed to have also a Zoom meeting this week to explain it better. Manitoba newspapers will fulfill their obligations by providing advertising space to participating communities in lieu of cash. MMSM will determine the annual allocation to each community and will track the spend to ensure communities are receiving the correct amount. The amount will be converted to newspaper, print, or digital advertising space. All Manitoba newspapers will participate in the program, and a list will be included in the program guide. All communities will receive a minimum allocation regardless of what is owed. The in-kind advertising may be used for issues, events, projects related to a broad array of environmental concerns, including recycling, waste, litter, giveaway programs, tree planting, and any other purpose that would be discussed with the publishers as they arise. It can be also used for climate change, green buildings, water conservation, so all kinds of sustainable type initiatives and advertising efforts that would be in line more with recycling and reusing and reducing and complementing communities. The in-kind advertising can be used until it is exhausted, is not subject to a limited time frame. Advertisement templates will be available for communities to use at no cost. They'll work with communities on a tailored approach if needed and on an individual basis. The program will actually be in early 2022, so there'll be lots of information that needs to be shared prior to that time so we understand what this is about. So the next steps, as of December 2021, we have been notified by MMSM that the town of Neepawa has $11,862.30 accumulated in advertising credits for the newspaper monies that have not been coming forward since 2017. This is equal to the amount withheld since that August in that particular year. And there is, like I say, a webinar this week or a Zoom meeting to explain the details of the program better for us so we understand.
The biggest non-councillor driven news from this week's council meeting is the funding for a review of the Handy Transits program. Now, this is a program that has been running in the area for decades, but its efficiency and operations have never been reviewed. COVID brought to light the need to take a look at how the service is run in order to ensure that it stays stable and operational. The review will provide recommendations to the town, who can then choose how or if to proceed with them.
Okay, Colleen, we've got Minister of Municipal Relations.
So this was kind of nice. I'll just quickly read you what it says. This is from the Honorable Derek Johnson, the Minister of Municipal Relations. I am pleased to inform you that your municipality's joint application with the municipalities of Rosedale, North Cypress, Langford, and Glenelg Lansdowne for the review of the Regional Handy Transit Program has been conditionally approved to receive funding under the 2021-22 Municipal Service Delivery Improvement Program. The assigned consultant to complete the service review is Deloitte LLP. So just a little better explanation. In March of this particular year, the government was sourcing out the ability to have municipalities look at service reviews for things they operate in your community that really maybe have been structured in such a way that decades have passed, and to get value for money, they would actually assign you a consultant of some sort, depending on what is needed, to do the third-party review for you to say if you're on track, are you sustainable, or is there better ways to operate, what can they do for you. So we actually submitted a few applications at that time, and we were chosen. I think there was only 5 or 6 chosen in the province. We were one of the ones chosen to have the Handy Van program reviewed because it's been in place for decades now, and probably never actually, nobody went back to day one and said, where are we at and what is efficient, what isn't efficient. I think what came to light, COVID brought to light the difficulties in trying to run a program based on, what was established at the time, and Councillor Kostenchik sits on this, and understanding bylaws were old, things needed updating. So this was just perfect. We met with Deloitte and went over, we spent about an hour and a half going over what we'd like to see achieved through this particular program. Analyzing the rates based on, the increasing costs of purchasing fuel. What do other communities do? Are we paying a proportionate share reflective of the usage in our community versus the surrounding neighbors, and understanding, we might have shorter distances to travel with more people, but, they have more kilometers to travel. Are there better uses? Is there better ways to raise monies? So we had a really good meeting with Deloitte, and now they're completing a statement of work. It's a template document that came up from the province of Manitoba. It's been submitted back into municipal relations for their review, and we'll be finalizing it this week and signing it. And my understanding, based on what Deloitte has told us, it'll be about a 6 to 8 week review, possibly starting in January. I think, is that right, Jody? And hoping to get some information back. We don't really have to act on it. This is just information that's going to get paid. The company's getting paid by the province of Manitoba. It's not going to cost us to have this review done, and hopefully some very valuable information so that we try to make a sustainable service out of this. So unless there's something anybody wants to add or
No, I think it's, yeah, no, I think you kind of summed it up there. COVID kind of opened the door for the handicap community to see that there was just some holes in it, that, as you say, goes back to
The 80s.
yes, to the 80s, right? I think it was started by the Lions Club.
It's a very important service to have in the community, and I think the concern is to keep it sustainable, and this is a program that I think is going to assist with that, so looking forward to having their assistance. And
Yeah, as Colleen said, it doesn't cost the town, doesn't cost the
No.
municipality, so that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
You can view end-to-end coverage of the Town Council meeting elsewhere in the NACTV schedule, including immediately following this program. We welcome your feedback, and if you have questions or items that you'd like to see clarified or discussed, you can reach us at 204-476-2639 or by email at nactvnews@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.